Welcome to Vermont Today. I'm your host, Terry Jeroloman, and my guests this month are Pete Garritano and Dennis Steele. Pete sells Hyundais in South Burlington, and Dennis is visiting us from the Northeast Kingdom. Dennis has his own internet radio show in the Northeast Kingdom. Would you like to tell us something about that, Dennis, and your background?
Sure. I'm originally from the Northeast Kingdom, fifth-generation Vermonter. The station that I've founded is an online radio station called Free Vermont Radio. It's at freevermontradio.org, and I'm the founder, and pretty much I do everything there right now.
And you're having a live show tonight, aren't you?
Yes, tonight it's Ghoulie Bluegrass from the Back Shed in an undisclosed location.
And the back shed is a real back shed, isn't it?
It's a real back shed behind somebody's house where local people from the community come and congregate and play some bluegrass.
I wish I could be there, but I can watch it on the internet.
Well,
I can listen to it on
exactly. You can listen to it at freevermontradio.org.
Yes.
It starts at 9 p.m. to 1 a.m.
I'll be doing that tonight at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And Pete, would you like to tell us something about your background?
Sure. I have been in the automobile business for many years. I work at a dealership on Shelburne Road. Of course, my views do not reflect the views of the dealership. I live in Shelburne with my wife, and we have a horse farm. That's pretty much it. I've been in Vermont since 1993.
I think that's really interesting to raise horses here in Chittenden County. Have you ridden and have you all your life, or?
I do not ride. It's my wife's business now.
Oh, it's your wife's business?
Yeah, she's the one that does it. I help with the chores. That's about it.
Oh.
Fix the fences and move manure when it needs to be done and that kind of stuff. But I don't ride. No, she has a business and she teaches riding lessons to students. So we have some lesson horses, some ponies, and ins and outs. And she boards horses. So that's one of her. She also works at the University of Vermont, but she is in the ag department and is 4-H coordinator for Chittenden County. So.
Well, we all met through the Second Vermont Republic and the 9/11 Truth Movement here in Burlington, and we decided to do this show to talk about the war on terror and relevant issues to Vermont today, which is the specialty of this program. This is a very relevant time to do it because a large number of young Vermonters have just left for Afghanistan or are in the process of leaving. And we still have Guantanamo is still in operation. What's the situation in Guantanamo? Does anybody know?
I guess I'll talk first. I guess we have slowly whittled down the number of people we are detaining there. I think at one point it was in the 750 range, and probably it's down to 250 now. I guess Obama is still promising to close it and somehow bring the remaining people to the states and house them in a correctional facility and hopefully at some point give them trials. But of course this is being fought by various people. Especially the CIA and secretive parts of our government who don't want information coming out. I think that these prisoners allegedly might have. So that's what's going on right now. One of the things that I would just like to point out about that, which is, a lot of people don't realize how these people ended up in Guantanamo Bay. The message that was broadcast, of course, was that these were all terrorists and the worst of the worst, which they repeat over and over again. But many of the commanders who have worked down there, who have been in charge of this operation, who have since left, I don't know if they do 2-year shifts, have spoken at Congress about this and have talked about this, and most of these people were there because ransoms were paid by our government. After our invasion of Afghanistan, we needed prisoners. So we went in and asked for people and paid out large sums of money. And in a lot of cases, tribal leaders handed over personal enemies because they were getting large sums of money, and these people had nothing to do with 9/11. They had nothing to do with terrorism. Some of them were farmers, some of them who just happened to be in the country, some of them were on humanitarian aid missions. I mean, besides the few people there who may be terrorists, the large portion of them are just regular people who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and were paid ransoms, and people were basically, you know, given money, and they were captured and handed over to our intelligence services, and they've been holed up with no charges filed and without a trial. And so that's really the sad part of the situation, and now, and they're having a hard time figuring out what to do with these people, and they're going to hopefully bring the ones that they really think are criminals or terrorists to the United States and try them.
And that's our tax money that went to buy these innocent people into imprisonment. Now they've been there for 5 years or more. And
7 years.
Without any trial, 7 years without any trial.
It's a sad situation. It's very sad because in a lot of cases we invaded their country. Nobody asked us in, and some people were just protecting themselves. There was a 14-year-old kid that threw a grenade and hurt 2 of our soldiers. Well, we invaded his country, and he was defending himself, and he's been in Guantanamo Bay since he was 14 years old, and who knows what, you know, has been going on, and if he's been tortured and all these other horrors, and, you know, what did he do? What did he do wrong?
And now we know that they've been waterboarding the prisoners in Abu Ghraib and in Iraq and probably in Guantanamo. And is waterboarding torture, do you think?
No, absolutely.
Well, I'll speak some more about this situation too, because to me, it almost really doesn't matter if waterboarding is torture or if it's not torture. The thing, I mean, we listened to the debate about whether waterboarding was torture on TV for 6 months, a year, and all these people, including very left-leaning people, would get up and talk about whether or not it was torture. But the important thing is that even the people that do this will tell you that it's not going to get reliable information, because the one question I wanted to see asked, which I never saw asked on any TV show, it would be, if I waterboarded you 183 times, could I get you to admit that you were the mastermind of 9/11? And I don't care who you did it to, of course they would. And that's the whole object of torture. In fact, most of the torture methods which we've borrowed from the Chinese that they used against the Japanese were, the reason they tortured prisoners was to get false confessions to use as propaganda to back their military, you know, methods. And Condoleezza Rice and Donald Rumsfeld admitted that we tortured the first prisoners in Abu Ghraib to get some kind of false confessions so that we could back the war on terror and the invasion of Iraq. That's why they did it. I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Road to Guantanamo. The 3 British guys who had been in Guantanamo got out, made a movie, and what they depicted, which didn't seem particularly horrible, of course, but it was a guy punching him in the stomach and saying, "You were involved in 9/11," and he'd say no, and they punched him again, he'd say no, and punched him again, and they'd say no. Well, okay, you waterboard somebody, you attach electrodes to them, eventually they're going to say yes, and then you got what you want. But did you really get valuable information? Well, even the intelligence services and psychologists will tell you, of course not. They mold people's minds. And that's the object of this, okay? And then they destroyed all the tapes. Of course, the CIA had tapes of all this torture of the alleged masterminds of 9/11, and they destroyed the tapes, so we don't really know what happened. So you don't get any valuable information. And that's the real, it really doesn't matter whether waterboarding is torture. They did other things that were torture, and if it is torture, it's not getting information that matters. You can get anything you want out of anybody by torturing them. So what good is it? What's the point? I mean, that's the question I have about the whole torture situation.